Hi guys. We're all back. We're just waiting to connect again. So hopefully we'll get right back at it. Yay! Oh, yay, Jamie, you're back. Yay, everybody's coming back. Sorry guys, I have no idea why my iPad glitched out and kicked us out. So we're just waiting for Crazy Keto Girl to rejoin us. It says that we are waiting, that it has been sent. I shall wave at you guys coming back in. Hello, darlings. It says to me it's just waiting for you, Crazy Keto Girl. If that doesn't work, I will cancel that request. Okay, you sent a join request. Okay, let me cancel that one. Yay, and accept the one that you sent instead. Let's do that. Yay. Yay. I don't know. Everybody's updating. YouTube, Instagram. Do you know what? Hi! I am still doing live cooking stories. We just got a quick question. It's just been forever. I've been so busy doing Q&As that I haven't done a recipe in a little while. But I actually have a couple on the go later this week. So, sorry about the interruption. Let's pick up where we left off.
Oh no, it's on. I didn't know what happened. It froze.
I don't know. It just glitched and everything shut down. And I was like, oh, that's bad.
Yeah, I was like, panic. Okay, so I did the week at Disneyland after I grappled with that for a bit and decided that I was going to take the week and then come right back. And then I'm guessing, this is going to be a lot of new people. I actually have a binge eating disorder. And so that's something that I've had to deal with during my journey is really those binging patterns and not giving in to the binging cues that sometimes come up, especially when I'm stressed out. And so when I came back, I was like, okay, it'll be fine. But by the time the week was over, I was full-blown in binge mode. I was eating everything, and I was not making good choices, and, whole boxes of Ding Dongs. I'm not even kidding you. In the car on the drive back, I was just
Get it in.
And so I was already kind of spiraled out. And so it took me a little bit longer to get back than I would have liked. So I ended up making a little support group and kind of outlining some goals for myself. And the beginning, instead of just going full throttle back in, here's my macros, I'm going to make sure that I'm hitting everything, I just started out by going back to just eating keto food and not tracking, and then started tracking again after a few days once I was just back into eating and not giving into those binge cues, because especially during the first few days when you're detoxing, it's so hard. But we're back. We're back in ketosis.
It's brutal though, and I want to talk a little bit about detoxing, because this week I decided that I was cutting dairy. So today is literally day 7 of no dairy for me, and detox is a real thing. I saw the old me come back, and not in the nice ways. My boyfriend's like, why are we so violent and threatening to cut people around my house all of a sudden? I'm like, dude, sass me off again, I'll cut you, and I won't even feel bad. And he's like, whoa, with the violence. And I was like, you don't understand. My body's giving up something I am addicted to. We're lucky I'm not kicking puppies on the street. Just be thankful.
Well, and especially sugar. Sugar is brutal, and it tends to be when I'm binging, that's my go-to, is just anything and everything that's full of sugar. And your brain just loves it. Your brain loves sugar. It starts lighting up like a freaking Christmas tree.
Everywhere. This. This. You give your brain sugar and it goes, woo, I love it.
Well, and they've talked about, that sugar is totally a drug. It is totally a drug. It lights your brain up the same way. And so it's just, detoxing from sugar is brutal. And I know the first 3 days, no matter what, I think everybody it's just going to be rough, and you're going to have those binge cues. Even when you don't have a binge eating disorder, I've actually had clients come and tell me oh, I'm super hungry, I feel like I can't eat enough, and usually that's what happens right before you kick over into ketosis. You get that insatiable hunger.
Yes.
But yeah, that's, I think, when I'm being honest with people about the hardest part of keto, I'm it's that detox phase when you're when you're getting used to doing keto and you're kicking sugar and all of those things, that's like the hardest phase, I think, is that first week.
Well, and my son just started. He's just finishing up week 3. And I told him the first 2 weeks is brutal. Like the first week you're detoxing. Week 2, you feel like you're hungry all of the time. By week 3 is the week you wake up and you go, I'm not hungry. Should I be eating anyways? Because I'm not really hungry. And your appetite just seems to... And that's when you're fat adapted. When your body switches over fuel, you're burning a better fuel. It's burning longer. And guess what? You're not starving every 2 hours. But it does. It takes a little bit of time to get there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and for some people, I mean, you're looking at like 4 to 6 weeks to being fully fat adapted for some people. And that's when you get like that nice big kick in like energy, and you like don't feel like you need as much sleep, and you don't really need as much coffee, and you're like, yeah, I got life, like I got this.
I got it.
Which is so weird when you've never experienced that before, and then you think about how you felt when you were eating carbs, and you're like, wow, like I was tired all the time.
Do you know what?
All the time, like my mood and everything is so much better on keto. Like people like to focus on the weight loss, but there's a ton of other benefits.
I honestly say I used to be Eeyore and now I'm Unikitty, and that's the best visual I can get, because I was miserable. I was so sad, poor me. You know, I'm sad and I'm fat and I don't want to do anything about it. But and I binge ate based on that, right? I eat because I'm fat because I eat because I'm fat, but I hid it. I was a hider more than a binger, right? It doesn't count if somebody didn't see it. If I'm the only one who knew I ate it and I hid all the wrappers, that didn't even happen. I didn't have that 2 chocolate bars you didn't see. I'd like mine, please.
Yeah, nobody has to know. It's cool. Or when you stop and would grab fast food and then you just throw the bag away before you go in the house.
Well, yeah, because you don't want to share with your kids and they'll ask for some.
Oh, yeah. No, you wait till they go to bed, and then you eat everything.
Oh my goodness, I have to ask you this. Okay, so when my son was small, how many times ever did you spend the day helping him look for candy that you ate while he was sleeping? Oh, dude, I don't know where you put that. I'm sure you had that here somewhere. Let Mommy help you look for that. And I knew I ate that candy.
Maybe you ate it. Maybe you ate it and you forgot you ate it.
Maybe you forgot. Oh, that one was my favorite. Maybe you just forgot you ate it. No, Mommy didn't steal your candy. What kind of mommy would do that? That's mean.
That's not, I would never do that. That is my least favorite thing to do.
Oh, do you know what? I would buy him, like, the 1 pound chocolate bunny so that I could accidental not eat most of it. Because really, he was 3. What 3-year-old needs a 1 pound chocolate bunny?
Right.
What mommy needs.
Like, I mean, seriously, during that first few days, like, I started on a Friday. I did not leave my house till Monday because I was like, I cannot be anywhere that there is things that I want to eat. Like, I need to be stuck in my house with nothing but keto food. Because I will get it.
I have to tell you how smooth I am, because for me it totally happened by accident, and I'm gonna tell you, like, I got roped in because my girlfriend wanted to try the newest keto shake, and it was like the instant, right, like 20 pounds, you can lose it in 2 weeks. I was like, I'll buy the shake. The day the shake arrives, she messages me, she's so excited, oh my god, Dory, there's a whole diet, and I was like, diet, girl, you back up off me with that D word. If you want to be friends with me, I suggest zip it. I said I would try a shake. I never said anything about diet. Like, I never said the D word. You want to be my friend still? and she was like, no, watch this one video. And I watched a video and I was salty. I won't lie. I was ready to press play and I was like, that's right, diet guy. I don't like your face. Why don't you tell me? Why don't you tell me how I could eat all these awesome things? And at the end of the video, I was like, okay, that makes sense. You can send me a little bit more of your diet information, but just a little bit. And then it was me. Like, I took it and I ran with it. It's over a year later. She doesn't even do this anymore, and it's all me. I never finished the shake because I don't like shakes. Because I just don't like them.
Most of them have stuff in them that aren't great anyway. So
they do. And I accidental found keto, and that was, my saving grace. And I just found it and I ran with it, like we all do. You don't have to know everything. You don't even have to know anything. You just have to know that you want to make one healthier choice. And I started that way. I didn't know there was support groups. I didn't know there was stuff you could find online. I knew keto was low carb. So I started Googling low carb food, low carb stuff. If it was pizza night, I Googled low carb pizza to see what I could do. And I kind of went from there. And then I learned all about groups and stuff. And I was like, what?
Yeah, the keto community is pretty big, actually. It's like kind of insane sometimes, like how many people there are.
It's huge. And I learned right away, it's not all nice and friendly everywhere, yo.
Which is too bad. What you know it's interesting though is it's usually the only place I've encountered the not nice people, the not nice keto people is Facebook groups. Like
yes.
I've not run into anybody on Instagram or YouTube or in person that was terrible. But Facebook groups, they all turn into demons. I don't know what it is.
I don't know, but let's talk about that. Because in all honesty, I was leery to start Instagram. Because I started out my stuff on Facebook and not in my group, because my group is so much fun. Oh my goodness, there's no nastiness there. But I was in, like, everybody. You join 2 or 3 groups, you poke around, you see if it's good. And out of 4 groups, 3 turned out to be super mean. And then every set that I joined, I was like, there's more mean groups than nice groups. And I became really, really discouraged. But it built me too. Because the mean groups, everybody was no. There was no solutions. There was no answers. They were mean. They were nasty. And it was those guys who ticked me off. And I was like, you don't get to tell me. You're not the boss of me. I can make it. I can figure out how to make it. I'm smart. I didn't know how to make it. I didn't know how, but I learned because I was mad. I was just flat out mad.
Groups, they all think that their way is the only way, and that is so frustrating to me. Like when I'm telling people or giving people advice or information, like I try to be clear that this is how I keto and this is what I think based on the research I've done. But if you want to do something different, that's totally fine. Like do what you want to do. Like there's no one way to do it, but every group thinks that their way is the only way, and you even suggest or think about suggesting something else. You're gonna lose your head.
It's bad, yo. I have been kicked out of plenty of groups for saying stuff like, "Hey, do it your way." You know, because I always say this, what works for one body might not work for your body. And that's the beauty of a ketogenic diet, is once you start to learn to listen to your body, you get to figure out what works, what doesn't. Because you know what? Once you start paying attention, you'll notice, all of a sudden, every time I eat nuts, that bothers me. Or, isn't it weird, honey, every time I have dairy, I turn into a cranky cow? Ha ha ha! But you notice.
I never knew until I did keto. I didn't realize that I didn't actually know what being hungry felt like. Like,
girl,
I ate by the clock. Like, I was like, it's time to eat.
It's time to
I'm
eat.
hungry. And I didn't figure out what hungry was until I started doing keto.
Yes.
And I could go for a long period of time. I'm like, I don't really need to eat. And then I would wait until I got that feeling. And I'm like, this is what it's supposed to feel like. I had no idea. Like, I was that person that was like, my stomach's growling, that must mean I'm hungry. And I learned, actually, that doesn't mean you're hungry at all. Like, so it's been really interesting, like, getting more in tune with my own body.
Do you know what feeling I learned? That I was like, that's the difference. That's the difference between I've eaten enough and I've stuffed myself so full I can barely move.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
When to stop.
Right? When do you stop eating? How much do you eat? And I actually had somebody ask me if we could do a live specifically about portions, because that's the other beauty of ketogenic diet, is when you up your fat, your other portions of food will go down and you'll still be full. Like you can eat an 8-ounce steak with fat on it instead of a 16-ounce steak, and you're going to be just as full.
And honestly, sometimes I only eat like a 3 or 4 ounce steak. Like I eat it's like this big.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing.
For me, I eat minimal protein. My body doesn't process it that well, only 14%. So yeah, for me, a serving of meat is, that much meat with a nice tablespoon of something fatty on top of it. Because that's my body. But you know what? I know people who do carnivore, and that's all they eat, and it works great for their body. But I know for me... Go ahead.
Oh, no, you're good. I was just agreeing with you. I've seen the keto carnivores. They're awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm hopefully protein sensitive too. I cannot get my protein too high or it will kick me out of ketosis and I'll gain weight.
Well, and for me, it's the fat. The key is the extra fat. Now, I don't know if you know this about me or not, because some people do, some people don't. I had a bariatric surgery 7 years ago, so it limits the amount that you can eat, but it doesn't teach you what to eat. So I did lose weight based on limiting my quantity of food, but I didn't learn how to eat healthy food. So eventually, I did start to gain weight again, because you get smart and you learn to eat around your surgery and you realize, you know what, I can't eat a whole chocolate bar, but I can eat a chocolate bar in 4 bites over a whole day. And you get smart and you learn to do that. So for me, the difference was finding ketogenic diet taught me about food. I never knew about food. Everything I ate was either out of a box or out of a can, and I never looked at that label because that wasn't information I needed. The directions are on the other side.
Yeah, I didn't get into label reading, and I don't even more than just the nutrition facts, I read the ingredient label now. I read what is in it. I get really intense, and I'm like, oh, no, that's not happening. If anything has added whey protein, it doesn't happen. Because, again, it's the same thing. It makes me gain weight every time. So when I see people that are always like, oh, I'm eating all these, these protein bars and protein shakes and stuff, but I'm not losing any weight, I'm like, it's because you're eating too much protein.
Well, and protein is the killer. If you can't over your fat, you can over your carbs and you can over your protein. You can't eat too much fat. So if you're hungry, eat something more fatty. Add more fat.
Definitely. That's always, I eat about 80% of my daily calories come from fat.
Yay!
I eat a lot of fat.
Oh, sister girl.
Probably 150 to 200 grams of fat.
Oh, I'm 80 fat, 14 protein, 6 carbs. Because I only eat 9 to 950 calories a day due to my limited quantity. Not because I limit myself, but because that's how much I can eat. But I'm always preaching the extra fat. And that, honestly, it's what makes your skin great. It's what keeps you full. It's what makes you happy. Fat makes me happy.
That is flavor, guys. Oh. I know she doesn't say it anymore, but everything is better with butter. Everything is better with butter.
Yes. Well, and I recently went dairy free, so I realized everything's better with ghee. Because it's dairy free version of butter. It's just the fat part of butter, so it's condensed down. It has all the butter flavor and no dairy.
Nice.
My new boyfriend.
I have a little jar, but I haven't tried it yet.
Oh, try it, girl. Do you know what it smells like? It smells like that movie theater butter, what they pop the popcorn in. That's what it smells like when you open the jar. And it tastes so yummy. So yummy.
It. But and the other thing too, when you're adding fat to your protein, it helps you slow, because I don't know if people in here know, protein spikes your insulin the same way that carbs do.
Yes.
So you add the fat in, if you have that steak, but then you put butter or ghee or whatever on top of it, or you cook it in fat or whatever you're doing, or you have a fatty sauce with it, it helps slow down the digestion of it so that you're not spiking your insulin, which is part of the problem with weight gain and all of the, and being able to lose weight, is that we're spiking our insulin and that causes fat storage.
Yes. Which
is why making sure we're limiting our protein is actually super important.
So the number one question I get, and I'm sure it's probably the same for you, is, okay, Dory, I get it. I need fat. I'll eat the fat. So how do I get that again?
Yeah. So at least in my life, I do get a lot of fat. I cook with fat, obviously. So I cook with butter. I cook with bacon fat. I cook with olive oil. Those types of things. I use those things on salads and other things. I top my meat with butter. I'm not dairy free, so I use things like cheese and sour cream.
Oh, girl.
I also do nuts and avocados and things like that. I get a lot of fat that way. And then also choosing fattier meats.
Yes.
That's a big thing for me. But I know people think that we just sit around eating whole sticks of butter.
No. No.
But.
Well, maybe it is kind of yummy.
No.
For me, I use this rule. I just put a tablespoon of good healthy fat on everything. So if I'm eating on my plate, I've got my meat I'll put bacon fat on it. And then I'll have my salad with, garlic olive oil on it and some vinaigrette and then I'll have, you know, my steamed veggie with ghee on it. And I'll just vary my fat. So every time I sit down to eat, I think this first. What fat do I want? what fat am I going to cook that with? Yay! If I make Brussels sprouts, for me a serving of Brussels sprouts is 3. But I won't lie. I'll cut up 3 Brussels sprouts and I'll put a whole tablespoon of bacon fat on that. And then I'll throw a little crumbled bacon on there, some salt and some pepper, and that's it. That's a side dish for me, and it's beautiful. Like I'm full. And then because I'm an on-the-go girl, and a lot of the people in my group are on-the-go girl, I created something, and I've got a cookbook I'm working on. It's going to be out soon, but something called Fast Bomb Melts. So they're they're no protein, no sweeteners. So they're just fats, but with flavor. So I made them in little hearts, and you can just pop them on your veggies. So when it's eating time, when it's not eating time, you can put them in your coffee, you can put them in your bone broth. And then when it's time to eat, you can literally be like, oh, I'm having vegetables. I'm going to throw a black rosemary pepper flavor on that one, and, you know, a garlic on that one, and just pop in your fat wherever you want. You just can't chew them, because chewing breaks your fast too. Did you learn that lesson the hard way?
Yeah. Well, usually, I mean, I'm not a big faster, but I did learn that when I was playing around with intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that sounds awesome, actually. But yeah, no, I agree with you. Definitely putting fat on everything. I love vegetables cooked in bacon fat is like my number one.
Girl,
asparagus, Brussels sprouts, any of it cooked in bacon fat, that's my language right there.
Oh, even the worst veggies, I don't care. Throw some bacon on it, and I'm all like, hey, Big Daddy, I like bacon.
Well, that's like with the broccoli. I love making loaded broccoli. So, like, I used to eat baked potatoes. So, but now we don't eat potatoes, obviously. So I put all of, like, my baked potato toppings that I used to eat on top of steamed broccoli.
Oh, yes.
And, oh my God. Like, there are no words.
I have to say that my guy would be your new best friend. I do the cauliflower mash, and he goes to me, honey, could we try that with broccoli next time? So I think he would want to be your new best friend, because he loves it. And you know what? When I started, because I started a year ago in April, no one in my house ketoed except for me when I started. And a year later, my whole house is, I'd say, keto-esque. You know, they have a few of their snacks here and there, but for the most part, I just don't cook carb side dishes anymore like I used to in the beginning for them. I'm like, oh, sorry, I ran out of time to make rice. I'm too busy.
Yeah, I end up saying my house is mostly keto. I mean, like, I still buy my kids, like, fruit. Like, they still get apples and they still get fruit. And, like, I still buy cereal and things like that for them. But if I'm making a meal, like, everybody eats what I make for dinner. And I don't include carb side dishes. It's usually a meat and a vegetable and fat. Like, I'm not about that life. I'm not a short order cook. I don't make multiple meals for people. I just don't. So
I love it, because I get that question in my group all of the time, and it goes like this: Dory, how do you cook separate for you and everyone else in your house? And I'm like, I don't. In the beginning, I did this. The way I used to cook at my house, we would have a meat dish, we would have a carb side, and we would have one vegetable. That was dinner at my house every night. You know, whether it be potato, rice, whatever. So what I did at my house was I started making a meat dish, a vegetable dish, a salad, and an extra veggie, so that I could still have 2 side dishes, and that was an option. So they go as options on my table, and you eat what you want, or you know, go hungry until next meal, because you'll be hungry next time. And it's all grown adult men in my house. They don't really complain all that much, you know. They didn't have to cook it. They'll eat it.
Well, for the most part, I'm like, if you don't like what I'm making, you can walk your butt in there and make something for yourself. Like, that's pretty much, I mean, I know she's 10, and that's maybe a little brutal, but I don't care. Like,
do you know what? By the time
this is what's for dinner, and she always eats it. She'll just eat it. So.
Well, and by the time we were 10, I had a dinner cooking night by the time I was 10. Tuesday was my night to cook dinner. So it's really not being mean to say, go make yourself something. Because you know what? just like us, the kids want convenience, and they'll open up the cupboard and they'll be like, ugh, there's nothing to eat here, we're starving, we'll die, mother. And you're like, no, there's lots of food. There's lots of food. We just have food you have to cook now. You can't open up my cupboard and just, grab a bag of chips. You gotta make something. You know what? You gotta cut up some cheese and put it in the microwave for 1 whole minute and make cheese chips. Do it!
Yeah. But yeah, I see that question a lot too. They're like, I don't know how to do that, or my husband refuses. I'm like, well, then your husband is a capable human being who can make his own food. Like, if he doesn't want to eat what you're making, like, I just don't do that.
It's hard it's hard to tough love, because you know what, lots of us, and I know in my past relationship, I never would have been like, you don't like it, don't eat it. I would have stressed myself out trying to make sure that he still got the version of everything he wanted, because that was what kind of guy he was. My guy that I date now, he's like, nah, whatever, it's food, I eat it, you make it, I like it. Thank you.
He's like, if I don't have to cook it, I don't care, I'll eat it.
Thank you. Yeah, compulsive overeater says, Mommy, don't play that. And I agree. Mommy, don't play that at my house either, because you know what? I don't have time to cook 6 different meals. You know what? You'll eat when you're hungry. You'll eat when you're hungry. And I don't know if you have you seen The Magic Pill yet?
I haven't watched it yet. It's on my list.
I love it. I love it. The little girl that transitions in there, she puts on a fit and she won't eat. Like, she refuses to eat. And the dad's like, you know what? I realized all we feed her is junk. Like, we literally took away all of her food, everything she eats. And she was having a fit. Like, she was throwing food. She was freaking out. But by day 5, he was like, she's eating everything we feed her. And happily, because it's the detox, right? It's the same for them. They're full of sugar, they're full of carbs. They need that time to get that out of their body, and they'll realize that, there is good food and they can totally eat it as much as they want.
Well, and I'm also kind of a firm believer in not catering to pickiness. Like, if you have a food allergy, that is one thing, but if you just don't want to eat it because you don't want to eat it, that's not my problem. Like, I don't cater to picky, and I never have, so I have that rule, like, if you don't like it, go hungry, and so I kind of, people always, don't like that answer when they're just like, oh, but my kids won't eat it. I'm like, just don't give them something else, they'll eat it eventually. Like, if you don't give them the option to be picky, they can't be picky, so unless they have, there's developmental texture stuff, or there's allergies, that's different. But I mean, kids that are just picky for the sake of being picky.
Well, and my fiance's daughter is picky for the sake of picky. She comes with us in the summer, and she's not my kid. So I have a really hard time. I'm like, if it was my kid, I'd be like, eat it or don't. And I struggle a lot trying to find things that she'll eat. But this year, she knows I make food videos, and she's like, so Dory, I'm like the pickiest kid ever. I think I should help you make food and show kids they can try new food. Yeah, you should. Yeah, you should. She's 10. And you know what? I'm ready. Let's get fun. Let's get in the kitchen. Let's make some really fun, girly, fantastic food. Because if your kids don't have color allergies or flavor allergies, that is the easiest way to get them to eat anything. Make it fun. I had my great nephews come over, and they're 5 and 6. And what we did, you're going to love this one. We did a pack your own lunch for 5 days. So we made coconut wraps, we made pinwheel sandwiches, we made pepperoni chips, and I made spiralized vegetables. And you're going to love this. I made zucchini and radish. And my 5-year-old nephew says to me, Auntie, we don't like those vegetables. We don't like those kind. And I said, I know. We don't like those kind, Auntie. And I said, I know you don't, but you know what? We're going to do them super cool and fun. So I spiralized them, and we put a little food color in the water, and they had blue and green radish and zucchini, and those boys were picking it out of their... I was like, that's for your lunch. We're packing that. Stop. And they're like, no, I like them now. And I'm like, I know you do, because they're blue. And if your kids are color sensitive, throw some blueberries in the water. Heat up some blueberries, throw it in the water, put your veggies in there, and then you've got purple veggies that your kids will totally try. Make it fun.
I did a few my keto lunchbox videos near my, like, I did, I spiralized, actually, cucumber.
My favorite.
And I spiralized cucumber and just put salad dressing on it and eat it like pasta, and, like, she loved it. She ate all of it.
Yes.
She's like, can we do that again? And I'm like, yes. Yes, we can.
I'm going to share with you my favorite recipe because your daughter is the right age. So I went and got this really cool mold that does mermaids, and I got a dinosaur one too. But what you do is you take 1 cup of mozzarella cheese and you melt it in your microwave, and you add food color to whatever colors you want, and then you press it into these little molds and chill them. And they make little mermaid pastas. And then you spiralize your vegetables and then add your sauce, and you have mermaid macaroni and cheese.
How cute! That's so cute.
It was one of my...
I know I did that one, which was actually a nest. I used the cucumber to make a nest, and then I had little meatballs in it that look like birds.
Yes.
If anybody wants to see it, they're on my channel. There's a whole section called My Keto Lunchbox. There's a whole playlist. Yay. So there's like that one. There's a couple other ones, but yeah, because she's like, I actually have a whole other Instagram that's just for bento and lunch packing. And so I was like, I wonder how I could like combine them and make something here to help people, because I know a lot of people are like, I don't know what to take to work for lunch.
Yes.
And I don't know what to pack. And it's like, okay, well, let's talk about that. Because that seems to be a big problem for people, like what to take to eat.
It's huge. It's a huge problem. One of my favorite to-goes is I'll take an assortment of nuts, and usually in my house I'll use like walnut, pecan, a little bit of almond. I'll throw some pumpkin seed in there. I'll heat it up with a little bit of bacon fat and then season it with whatever I want and brown them. And they make a great to-go. I do like Frank's Red Hot, ranch flavor, whatever flavor you want. Cajun. I do sweet ones with coconut oil and cinnamon and monk fruit sweetener, and they're awesome to-go snacks. But I will tell you, if you carry them around in your purse too long, it tastes like perfume.
Oh no. That's funny. I usually so I don't eat them regularly, but because I get both Keto Crate and Keto Delivered, they both send me their boxes. I always have meat sticks coming out of my ears. So that's like my purse emergency snack. I keep a meat stick in my purse at all times, because you do not want to get caught out hungry, because that's when bad things happen.
And girl, I am so jealous. Keto Crate doesn't deliver to Canada yet, but when they do, they're my new best friend. I love them up all over Instagram, all over the place, and I was like, please deliver to Canada. And they were like, the beavers are not friendly. And I was like, I know, they're busy. It's dam season. Don't bother them. Geese are they're notably unfriendly. They'll attack you on the lawn. Don't even ask them for help.
But their babies are adorable.
Oh,
the baby geese.
Oh, they're so pretty. And you know what? Geese are pretty, though, actually. People get fooled by them, and they're like, oh, pretty bird. Ah! Because they will. They'll run up on you, and they will peck on you. They do not care. They have no shame. They are like, get out of here, lady. They're like, I want your breadcrumbs. Drop the bread and run.
That was always my favorite thing back when I lived in Oregon in spring, was all the baby geese would be waddling in their little groups, and you're like, they're the cutest things ever.
Yes.
Baby geese.
Baby anything. That's nature's way of making sure that species don't eat their young. When my son was small, I used to tell him that all the time. You know, you're really lucky or cute. Some species eat their young.
Mm-hmm. It is totally a defense mechanism.
Right? Yeah, when he got older and he was...
I always have one in my bag.
Yes.
They come in every box, so I have tons of them.
Oh. Now, here's a question for you, because I get this one a lot too. With pepperoni and meat sticks and jerky, what can I have, what can't I have?
So when I'm doing it, I read the ingredients, obviously. I'll find the ingredient section and I'll read what's in there. I avoid added sugars. I avoid honey, because they like to put honey in them a lot. I avoid things like that. But if you find just a regular one, it should just be meat and spices in a collagen casing. That should be all that it is. And it should never be more than 1 carb.
Yes.
If you have one that's 2, 3, 4 carbs, there's something in there you shouldn't be eating.
Filler.
And so that's pretty much all I do is I just make sure that it's only meat and seasoning. There can't be any sugar.
And I find if it's a honey garlic flavor, it's out right off the bat. Like, don't even bother flipping that one over. Like, same thing with sausages at the grocery store. If they're spicy Italian or they're regular sausages, you can probably have them. Flip them over, take a look. If that says honey, garlic, sweet, anything on the front of it, girl, don't even bother flipping that over. Move on. Save yourself the heartache of going, oh, but I wanted that.
Yeah. Honey, maple, any of that. You can't eat that. That's all a no-no.
No. And let's talk about some of the other words that they use for sugar. Because I often will see things that say, like, sweetened with natural agar nectar, or, you know, sweetened with all natural palm coconut sweetener. We can have that, right? It's coconut, it's palm, it's organic.
Like, you don't know what it actually is, do you? I actually keep, on my phone, I actually have a photo saved that has the list of all the names for sugar with their glycemic impact next to them.
Yes.
So that I can make informed decisions about which sweeteners I do want to allow. And those are always going to be the ones that are lower on the glycemic impact. So we're looking at, like, acylfame K or acylfame potassium. That one's lower on the list. I know that aspartame is really... controversial for people. Some people are like, it's fine. Other people don't like it, but it is lower on glycemic impact. And so I focus on that more than, like, types, because really, if we're going to go by type, we shouldn't have any of it.
No.
But if you're going to have it, like, I feel like since we're trying to keep our insulin low and level, like, making sure that they're the lower impact ones are what I'm going for. I usually stick to things like stevia, and stuff like that, but I try to keep sweeteners to a minimum, like, seriously, as much as possible. But you'll find things in there like xylitol is a sweetener. Yes. Anything that ends in OSE, so fructose, glucose, any of that, that's all sugar.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many names for sugar that I didn't even know about until I started researching labels and stuff. Like,
and I just do want to say, when we're talking about sweeteners, if you intermittent fast, because not everybody does, but if you do, sweeteners are only for your eating window. So you can't have a fat bomb with sweetener during your fasting time. You're breaking your fast instantly. And not just sweetener, but if it's a sweet flavor. So even if it tastes like sweet, you're breaking your fast. So sweeteners, I only have, you know, during my eating window. And for me, I live in a small town. So what I did is I went to my local bulk center and I bought just a small bag of a couple different kinds to try, because I find that every flavor is different, and I grow fresh stevia, which is honestly my favorite if you can get it in the leaf. The plant cost $5, and I'm still on last spring's plant. So go out and buy you a plant, because you just pick the leaves off and use them fresh, or dry the leaves and grind them up. It still will spike your insulin.
And I have erythritol as well. I have, like, the powdered erythritol.
Yes. Well, and you good and bad, right? Like, I buy my bulk stuff. When I buy stevia sweetener here, you look at them, and some of them, again, this is where they get you. It'll say on the box...
with maltodextrin.
Yes, this one says stevia, but then when you look at the back, it has maltodextrin in it. And it has dextrose.
The worst. The number one worst sugar for you is maltodextrin. It's worse than regular table sugar.
Yes, and this is the one that they put in all the diabetic candies and stuff. Now, I'm going to say this. Again, sweeteners are like everything else. It matters when it matters. Now, before I ketoed, I ate aspartame like it was going out of style, because I was like, whatever, it's good, it's diet, it's good for me. And then, again, when I very first started, I ate a lot of the maltitol, or however you pronounce that, candies, because they're Russell Stovers. They say they're diabetic on them. They taste like, you know, a real chocolate.
Clean you out.
Do you know what? At my house, it didn't. I'm going to tell you a funny. So the first thing I brought home was chocolate-covered almonds. They were called Sweet Nothings. And I was like, hey, my guy starts eating the bag, okay? And he starts pigging out on them. He's like, oh my God, these are so good. They just taste like regular almonds. And he's eating them, and he ate the whole bag. And then he hands me the bag to read, and I look at the label, and it goes, do not consume more than half of the bag for fear of, and it lists all these things, and I was like, uh-oh. What do you do? Do you want to know what I did? I hid the bag. because I was like, oh no. I hit the bag and I decided it was for science. So I kind of watched him for a couple of days and nothing happened. So on day 3, I was like, hey, honey, remember those almonds I brought home? And he's like, oh yeah, they were good. Did you buy more? And I was like, no, but I was curious, did you feel off at all after you ate them? And he was like, what do you mean off? I'm like, well, apparently, you're not supposed to eat more than half of the bag, else you might poop yourself. And he goes, what? And you didn't tell me? And I was like, well, for science. With my teeny tummy, I could never eat a whole bag. And, my people want to know, So did anything happen? He's like, no, thank you very much. I'm really glad that you're willing to risk me pooping myself for your people. It was fine. Tell them it was fine.
It was odd. Like, my first job was actually in a candy store, and we had a sugar-free candy section. So anytime somebody bought, and it was like in bulk, like you scooped it into bags and made it. And so anytime you bought sugar-free candy, I had to give the warning, like verbally give the warning.
Oh, this might make you poop yourself?
You could get cramps and like explosive diarrhea. So awkward. Like,
have a nice day. Don't eat too much. Explosive diarrhea. Warning, warning, warning. Love you. Bye.
Goodbye. Every single customer that bought sugar-free candy, I had to tell them. I'm like, oh
no. Well, and for some people it does. Like, it's the same thing as anything else. I know people who can eat those candies by the bag, and it doesn't bother them. But I also know people who literally could smell one of those candies, and they're running to the toilet. They're like, ah! So it depends, right? Like, and again, when I started, they were a great transitional candy for me. Because they weren't real chocolate. But now that my taste buds have changed, I can taste the chemical in them, and they taste like not yummy to me. Like, they taste like not yummy. Now I'd rather make my own Fat Bomb chocolates than run for those. And they're super expensive. But if people want to eat them, I'm like, you know what, in moderation, bear in mind, it probably can and will break your weight loss goals. It might stall you. But if you want it, it's better. It is better than going out and buying yourself 3 Snickers because you didn't allow yourself that one piece of chocolate one time. And for me, I'm a binger. So it's better for me to eat that one candy one time than to store it up for a week and then buy myself 3 Snickers and eat them when nobody's looking, because I die now.
Well, and one of the things, too, like one of my, like, you were talking about, like, transitional things, like things that we ate that weren't necessarily keto perfect, but they help, was I was one of those people that was I buy the sugar-free Jell-O cups.
Yes.
With the and I would pour heavy whipping cream in and mix it up and eat it like a parfait.
Yep.
And that's one of those things that really helps, like when you have that sweet tooth thing, you're like, I need something sweet or I'm going to lose my mind.
Yes.
Like, that was one of those ways to do that. And the ones I had erythritol, so I didn't sweat it anyway, but you can't buy the powdered, for those of you watching in here. You cannot buy powdered sugar-free Jell-O mix. It has maltodextrin. You have to buy the pre-made cups if you decide to do that.
Okay.
But,
now,
oh my gosh.
What I do, because I have made up the sugar-free Jell-O before in a pinch, because, it's better than whatever. But what I do...
Gelatin.
I have a girlfriend who was like, hey, Dory, any alternative to all that death poison in there? And I was like, yeah, it's super easy. And I'll show you what the alternative for that is. You just buy yourself a bag of grass-fed gelatin. Yep, just gelatin. And it's 1 tablespoon per cup of liquid. And then you can add whatever flavor color you want. Fresh fruit if you want, your berries, your little bit of sweetener. But it's just as easy, and you can make it into gummy bears too. Like, easy peasy.
That's what I was going to say. I'm busting it out. I actually have, because I do make gummies.
I love it. You are so my twinsy girl. Like, I am all
I
about.
Have that one. I have that exact one with the bears. I also have one that has worms.
Oh, I need the worms. I need the worms. Boys always love the skulls.
Nice.
I use that for my Headbangers Kitchen recipe.
So these ones are oranges.
Oh, I love.
And then we got strawberries.
Oh, yes. So fun.
And these are like little, like, blackberries.
Nice.
And apples.
Oh.
Actually, this set got sent to me. It's like by Fruit Shack. They sent this to me, actually.
Little boys love dinosaurs. I love these ones.
Not just little boys. My husband loves dinosaurs, too.
Right? And you know what? Most of mine come from the dollar store in season. Some of them are specialty stores. But I'll tell you what, Valentine's, Easter, Halloween, I stock up on every kind of mold I can find. Because it makes...
Dollar Tree was my jam.
Oh, Dollarama and Dollar Tree, we have both here. And oh, goodness, girl, my absolute jam. This year, I did a huge Easter haul, and I made, like, all the Easter treats at my house this year. I made keto cream eggs, I made unicorn sparkle cream eggs, I made all kinds of crazy stuff for Easter, but I went out and I got all the best Easter stuff, and it cost me, like, $20. So this year, we didn't do all the junk and sugar for Easter, and it was the first year ever.
Yeah, I do, like, I definitely hit the Dollar Tree, especially because I do bento stuff, so I'm getting, like, the little the cupcake toothpicks that have the cute toppers and stuff on them, like, I get those all there, too. And, like, the napkins, the fun napkins to throw in a lunchbox.
Oh, for sure. You need all of that stuff. Oh, and I'll tell you a secret, too. Those little bread keepers that look like a slice of bread that fit your sandwich in there, if you make your 90-second bread in there, you get 90-second bread that's bread-shaped.
I've honestly never made 90-second bread, ever.
Oh, it's my favorite. So, the first time I made it, I hated it. The original recipe called for just almond flour, and I was like, that's gross, and I don't like it. It didn't smell right. It didn't taste right. It was super eggy. But after that, I started making a mix. And at my house, I make all my nut meals. Like, I just grind up. And I'll make a mix of walnut, pecan flour, I'll add some hemp heart, a little bit of flax, and I'll make it like a multigrain bread, add a little psyllium husk so it puffs up, and it's a multigrain bread. I love it. And that recipe, I won't lie, it's the easiest. It's 4 tablespoons of any flour, 1 tablespoon of oil, 1 egg, and a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. But you can make it anything. You can make it garlic bread, cheese bread, bacon bread. Add sweetener and it makes cakes and muffins. It's honestly, it's the bomb. It's too easy. It really makes life too easy.
I'm one of those people, I think it's like, it kind of goes back to like the binging thing. Like, I have to not eat certain things to not trigger. Like, if I was to make 90-second bread, like, that would be triggering for me. So, like, that's why I never have. And, like, I was really even leery when I made cloud bread once. I was so afraid to eat it because I was like, oh my god, I don't know if this is going to be a problem. Which it wasn't, luckily. Yeah. And cloud bread is pretty great, but...
I haven't tried that one.
Like,
I haven't tried that one, so I might have to try the cloud bread.
I mean, it's eggy, but it's good. It's eggy for sure.
I love it. I do like coconut tortillas, stuff like that is fun. And for me, with the carby dishes, the key is I omit most of the almond flour and I use walnut or pecan instead, because walnut is only 4 grams of carbs per serving instead of almonds 10, and pecan is 5. So anything you're making fathead, if you swap out the nut flour, you're cutting those carbs in half again. Because I know for a lot of people, the breads, the pizza doughs, stuff like that, they're too high carb to have them even semi-regularly. They're treat days, or what you would call like a keto-friendly cheat day. I eat really clean all week, but on the weekends I make fathead pizza, or on the weekends I make corn dogs, or, you know, something that's higher.
I pretty much try to avoid replacing things. So, like, you know, in the old life we had bread and pasta. Like, I tried to avoid replacing that with similar stuff. So I didn't bring over bread or anything like that. My pasta now is always zucchini.
Hi, baby. Hi. Happy girl. How's your day? Are you good today?
And so, like, I tried to avoid doing that as much as possible. I did.
I'm sorry, I'm encouraging her.
But it was definitely something like I tried to avoid bringing over just to keep myself in line. But the thing I did do, because I did try fathead dough a couple of times, and I actually switched to chicken crust.
Do you know what? I haven't tried that one yet, but I've heard it's delicious.
Chicken crust is amazing, and it's like 1 gram of carb. Like,
now,
it's amazing.
Did you do with the rotisserie chicken or the canned chicken? Because I've seen it both ways.
I do it with the canned chicken, and I just dry it out in the oven.
Okay.
But you can totally do it either way. And then I just make sure that whatever I'm putting on it has, like, you know, a nice fatty sauce. And just making sure you're kind of loading up on the fat in your toppings and your sauces to offset the protein in the crust from the chicken. But totally delicious, and it actually, for me, always holds up better. Like, it's nice and crispy and holds up better than fathead dough ever did.
Okay.
So, and, like, almost no carbs. So, totally worth it.
Nice. Well, and for a long time before I tried fathead, I did crust-less pizza. So you either melt the cheese to be the crust, or you use the meat as your base for your crust. And last week, because, again, with the dairy-free, I made my first pizza, and it was funny, because at my house I made every variation. So my fiance and my brother got regular pizza out of the freezer with added extra meat and cheese. My kid got crust-less pizza with cheese and salsa and bacon on it. And then I made for myself, it was fried summer sausage, and it had some salsa, and it had some more summer sausage and bacon on it. And that was, you know, my little dairy-free pizza. But I laughed because at my house, I literally made every kind of pizza that night.
That is so funny. I used to, like, one of my favorite things to do was to, like, because people would order pizza, for a while I lived with my dad, and he would order pizza, and I would just scrape the toppings off onto, like, a burger patty or onto chicken or something and eat it. And that was actually really tasty, because I actually, like, the thing I really loved learning was that, like, when it came to eating, bread wasn't the thing I wanted. Like, I didn't buy a burger.
It was the extra.
I didn't buy pizza for the crust. Like, it was for the stuff on it. So I could put that on something else that was totally keto-friendly and get the same flavors out of it. And so that was helpful.
Well, and we didn't love sauce for the pasta. You know, like, guess what? You can take a bowl of sauce and throw some yummy veggies in there and eat it with a spoon, and you won. Like, nobody was eating spaghetti for the noodles.
Yeah, exactly. That was, like, those things, most of the time, carbs were, like, the vessel to the thing I actually wanted to eat.
Yes!
Like,
find a better vessel. That's what I say.
There's a takeaway from the live. Find a better vessel.
I think that's the best takeaway you could get, though. Because in all honesty, we're not robbing ourselves of foods that we don't eat. We're learning to love foods that love us back. And that's the key for me. Like, I no longer obsess over foods that make me sick.
Right.
Because it's not worth it. You know, I could eat it and it will make me sick. And in the beginning, I didn't realize it would make me sick. The first time I ate off plan, I was 8 months in, and I was like, I got this. I've been eating healthy. I'm all good. My girlfriend comes over at Christmas with her standard tin of cookies, which I usually would eat, I won't lie, almost the whole tin. You know, because they were my cookies. You know, I would share a few, but mostly eat them. And I thought, 2 or 5 cookies probably won't hurt me. So, maybe I ate 5 cookies. And I woke up in the morning and I couldn't go to the bathroom for the first time in my whole life. I was like, oh my God, what is this? I might die. Like, I might actually die. So I made a flax muffin and I handled it. But it was a day of panic, and I realized then, what, my body isn't what my body used to be. I can't just feed it what I used to. I already converted my body to diesel. I can't put gas in there now.
Right. Totally. Well, and I know, for me, the first time I went off plan, I woke up the next day with the biggest headache that I've ever had in my life.
Yes.
I wanted to die. I legitimately felt like somebody was crushing my skull. It was the worst. I'm like, it's so, and I gained 15 pounds. It was not worth it. And that's the other thing too I love too is that I'm not so swollen. I don't know if anybody realizes how much water you hold on to when you're eating carbs, but when you switch to keto, my feet and ankles and stuff, they would get so big that it would hurt to walk. They'd be so swollen.
Yes.
And so I always noticed that's been the best part. So when I've gone off and then I swell back up, I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible. How did I live this way?
Do you know what? I do want to talk about that too, because when I was when I was at my biggest, I was 290 pounds. And every day when I woke up in the morning, my morning started like this. You sit on the end of the bed because your legs don't really work yet, and you cry for a few minutes. And then you climb your way along the wall to the bathroom, where you sit for about another 20 minutes and just wait for the pins and needles to stop in your legs, for the pain to stop in your feet, so that you actually feel like you can stand on your feet. That is the feeling, number one feeling I don't miss. And I think to myself, God, how did I start my life that way every single day? Every day. In pain like that.
Right. It's crazy. It is so crazy. Just like how much we didn't realize how terrible we felt because we didn't know how it felt to not feel that way, if that makes sense. Like, we didn't know that you could feel better than that.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was just how life was. I was always big. I was a big kid. By the time I graduated high school, I was 360 pounds. So, I mean, I was just always obese. And so I didn't know, I have no idea what it's like to be a thin person. I've never been a healthy weight in my entire life. So that idea is very abstract and foreign and kind of weird to think about. But, like, even just over the last 120 pounds, like, I've seen a huge difference in how I feel and how my body moves and, like, being able to even breathe better and sleep better. Like, it's crazy. I'm like, how was I doing that? Because that was horrible.
I know for me, it was, I put on my blinders. I decided, you know what, I was happy and I was loved and I wasn't happy. I was certainly loved, but I wasn't happy because I wasn't healthy. And for my own self, I decided none of this mattered. I had a pretty face. I had a great personality. If people were going to judge me based on my body, that was their problem, not mine. And I started to base my own value on nothing that had to do with my body. And I put on my blinders and I ignored the fact that I was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You know, I went from an 18 to a 22 to a 24 to, you know, a size 26. I'm, you know, now bursting out of my 3X panties. And I thought, oh, I'm not really fat like that. I would look at myself in the mirror and ignore what I saw until somebody took a picture of me and I was like, how many cameras you got on me, paparazzi? I wasn't fat like that yesterday. And one day I woke up and I was like, oh my God, I am wide like a dump truck. How did that happen? Why did nobody tell me? Because you would have punched them in the face, Dory. Like, honestly, if somebody had come up to me and said, girl, you know, 290 is kind of your top. You better, you know, slow down. Man, I would have carb crazy girled on them like nobody's business. I'd have been like, I'll cut you.
Right.
So we're down to our last 2 minutes. So I'm going to let you have the sign out. And tell everybody what you want them to take away from today's live.
Oh my goodness. Well, everybody, thank you for coming in and hanging out with us today. Hopefully you got something out of there, even if it was just to find a better vessel and enjoy what you're eating. And yeah, I think that's it. Thanks for hanging out.
You're so amazing, girl. And if you have not checked out her YouTube channel yet, you need to. Check out her YouTube. Follow her on Instagram. We're going to have lots of fun laughing together, girl. Because, man, we are twinsies. I adore you, girl. We're going to have some fun. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. You are doing it, and you are killing it, and we are so proud of you. Like, that's my takeaway. We love you, and we are so proud of you, girl. Have an awesome day. And thanks for getting us through Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bye. Thanks so much.